How does a man go from building a desk out of a wooden door in a tiny garage to building one of the most powerful companies in human history? How does someone walk away from a six-figure Wall Street job with bonuses, prestige, security, to sell books on something called the Internet in 1994, when most people didn't even know what email was? And how does that same person become one of the richest human beings to ever live? Today, we are diving deep into the 5 money secrets of Jeff Bezos, the mastermind behind Amazon. But this is not just about money. This is about mindset. This is about vision. This is about how someone sees the world differently and then bends it to their will. And if you stay with me until the end, you'll realize something powerful. The difference between companies that disappear and companies that dominate is not luck. It is not timing. It is not even intelligence alone. It is how they think. Let me take you back for a second. Do you remember Nokia? There was a time when everyone had a Nokia phone. Those indestructible bricks, they owned the market. They were unstoppable. And then, they weren't. Do you remember BlackBerry? In 2011, they controlled over a quarter of the smartphone market. Executives wouldn't be caught dead without one, almost invisible. What about Blockbuster? Over 970 stores worldwide. Friday nights meant one thing. Walking through those blue and yellow aisles, they even had the chance to buy Netflix for $50 million. They laughed at the idea. A few years later, bankruptcy. These companies had everything: brand power, market share, and they still fell because they stopped evolving. Now contrast that with Amazon. Started in 1994, an online bookstore, just books. No warehouses full of everything, no streaming, no cloud computing empire, just books, shipped from a garage. And yet today, Amazon is not just a company. It is infrastructure. It is logistics. It is cloud services. It is entertainment. It is artificial intelligence. It is global dominance. So what are the secrets? Let's break them down. Secret number 1. Relentless evolution. Jeff Bezos understood something that most businesses ignore. What works today will not work forever. When Amazon started, books were the perfect entry product. They were easy to ship. They had millions of titles, and no physical store could carry them all. It was smart, but Bezos didn't fall in love with books. He fell in love with growth. He expanded into music, then electronics, then toys, then clothing, then everything. Eventually, Amazon wasn't just selling products. They were creating them. The Kindle, private label brands. Then came Amazon Web Services. And this is where it gets crazy. AWS now generates billions in profit, more than many Fortune 500 companies make in total revenue. Think about that. A bookstore created one of the largest cloud computing platforms in the world. That is not an accident. That is evolution on purpose. Bezos once said that if you double the number of experiments you do per year, you double your inventiveness. Most people try to protect what they have. Bezos tries to reinvent it. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If he had stayed comfortable selling books, Amazon would be dead. If you stay comfortable doing what you're doing now, what happens in 5 years? The first secret to making massive money is simple. Adapt faster than the world changes. And the world is changing very fast. Secret number 2. Embrace failure aggressively. This one surprises people because when we look at billionaires, we see success. We see private jets. We see headlines. We see dominance. What we don't see are the expensive mistakes. Amazon launched a phone. Remember the Amazon Fire phone? Probably not. It was a disaster. They lost around $170 million. Amazon tried to compete in travel booking. They shut it down. They launched a QA platform. It failed. There were product flops, strategic missteps, experiments that never caught fire. But here's the key difference. Bezos does not view failure as a problem. He views it as tuition. He once said that if you're not failing, you're not innovating enough. Let that sink in. Most people are so afraid of looking stupid that they never try anything bold. They don't launch the business. They don't invest. They don't create. They wait. They analyze. They hesitate. And in that hesitation, opportunity dies. Bezos even chose the wrong name at first. It sounded too much like cadaver. Imagine Amazon being called Cadabra today. He changed it. He iterated. He adjusted. The fear of failure keeps most people average. But Bezos understands a deeper truth. The biggest wins pay for thousands of failures. And Bezos alone justifies every failed experiment Amazon ever had. Prime justifies massive investments that once looked insane. If you only do what is guaranteed to work, you guarantee small results. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the pathway. Secret number 3. Think long-term when everyone else thinks short-term. In 1994, Bezos read a report that said internet usage was growing at 2,300% per year. Most people ignored it. He didn't. He saw the future before it arrived. He saw where the river was flowing, and he jumped in upstream. When Amazon went public, they were not profitable for years. Investors questioned him. Analysts criticized him. The media doubted him. But Bezos kept saying the same thing. We are focused on the long term. Wall Street wants quarterly results. Bezos wanted decades of dominance. That difference in time horizon changes everything. If you think in weeks, you make small decisions. If you think in years, you build systems. If you think in decades, you build empires. Amazon invested billions in warehouses before e-commerce was mainstream. They built infrastructure before the demand exploded. They were ready when the world caught up. That is strategic patience. Bezos even structured the Amazon logo intentionally. From A to Z, everything you need. He didn't think small. He didn't aim to be a bookstore. He aimed to be the everything store. And here's the question for you. Are your goals designed for survival or for dominance? Most people limit themselves before the world does. They think small to avoid disappointment, but thinking small guarantees small results. Secret number 4, build small, powerful teams. This is where Bezos gets tactical. He created something called the 2-pizza rule. If a team cannot be fed with 2 pizzas, it is too big. Because large teams create bureaucracy. They create delays. They create meetings about meetings. Small teams move fast. Small teams take ownership. Small teams innovate. Think about a startup. 5 people in a room. Clear communication. Now think about a corporation with endless layers. Approvals, committees, momentum dies. Bezos structured Amazon like a network of startups inside a giant machine. Autonomous teams. Clear missions. Focused execution. And here is the hidden lesson. Money loves efficiency. The more agile your operation, the faster you adapt. And in business, speed is power. Are you trying to do everything alone? Or are you building the right small team around you? Are you hiring for comfort or for excellence? Bezos looks for high standards. He looks for people who raise the bar. He once said that every new hire should increase the average effectiveness of the group. Imagine if you applied that standard to your circle, your partners, your collaborators, your inner circle. Your environment either accelerates you or slows you down. Secret number 5, obsess over focus. We live in the age of distraction. Notifications, social media, breaking news, constant noise. Most people think multitasking is productive. Studies show it reduces productivity dramatically. Bezos schedules his day in blocks. He gives full attention to one thing at a time. He protects his cognitive energy, because decision-making is a muscle. And if you waste it on small distractions, you weaken it for big decisions. He doesn't brag about working 100-hour weeks. He brags about making high-quality decisions. That is different. He prioritizes sleep. He prioritizes clarity. He prioritizes deep thinking. In a world where everyone reacts, he reflects. In a world where everyone scrolls, he strategizes. Focus is rare, and rare skills pay premium rewards. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. How many hours per day are truly focused? No interruptions, no switching tasks, just deep, meaningful work. Probably fewer than you think. Now imagine doubling that, tripling it. What would that do to your income over 5 years? Small, daily focus compounds, just like money. But there is one more layer to all of this, a deeper pattern. Bezos doesn't chase money. He chases value creation. Money follows. Amazon became powerful because it solved real problems. Convenience, selection. Customer obsession is not a slogan. It is strategy. Bezos famously leaves an empty chair in meetings to represent the customer. That is symbolic. Every decision filters through one question. Does this improve the customer experience? When you focus on delivering massive value, revenue becomes a byproduct. Most people reverse this. They ask, how can I make money? Instead of asking, how can I create so much value that money becomes inevitable? That shift is everything. Let's zoom out for a moment. A man leaves Wall Street. He drives across the country with his wife. He writes a business plan in the car. He sets up in a garage. He builds desks out of doors because they are cheaper. He ships books himself. He reinvests every dollar. He ignores critics. He experiments relentlessly. He thinks in decades. He builds systems. He hires carefully. He focuses deeply. He fails publicly. He keeps going. And over time, compounding takes over. That is the real secret. Compounding decisions. Compounding improvements. Compounding reinvestment. Compounding focus. Most people want explosive results, but Bezos built steady momentum, year after year, layer after layer, until Amazon became too big to ignore. And here is the truth most people miss. These principles are not exclusive to billionaires. They are scalable. You may not build the next Amazon, but you can evolve constantly. You can experiment boldly. You can think long-term. You can build efficient teams. You can focus deeply. You can obsess over value. The question is not whether these principles work. The question is whether you are willing to apply them consistently. Because consistency is boring. Innovation is risky. Long-term thinking requires patience. Focus requires discipline. But those who embrace these traits separate themselves from the crowd. Look around. Most people are playing short games, short dopamine hits, short trends, short-term gains. Bezos played a long game in a short-term world, and that difference created extraordinary wealth. Imagine if you approached your career like a 20-year project. Imagine if every skill you learned compounded. Imagine if every experiment taught you something. Imagine if every failure refined your strategy. Where would you be? The 5 secrets are simple to understand, but difficult to live. Evolve constantly. Fail forward. Think long-term. Build small elite teams. Focus relentlessly. And above all, create massive value. That is how a bookstore became a global empire. That is how a garage became a launch pad. That is how an idea became infrastructure. And that is how money flows at a scale most people cannot comprehend. The world will continue to change. New Nokias will rise and fall. New Blockbusters will miss their moment. New opportunities will appear quietly before they explode. The next 2,300% growth curve is happening somewhere right now. The only question is whether you are paying attention. Because fortunes are built by those who see the shift early. Not perfectly, not fearlessly, but decisively. So here is the final thought. Stop asking how to get rich quickly. Start asking how to build something that evolves, experiments, and compounds for decades. Because the richest entrepreneur in the world did not win by accident. He won by design. And now the blueprint is in front of you. The move is yours.